Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And as we do every Wednesday evening, Rich Levinsky is going to be with us here in just a few minutes, talking about a really interesting observation about what's going on in the world of consulting. I wanted to bring up a fairly sensitive but interesting topic that that has been pervasive in my profession since I got in it in 1973, and that is the issue of discrimination. And all hiring is discriminatory. Some of it, of course, is moral and legal, and some of it isn't. But I wanted to address it because it comes up from time to time, not as much as it used to be. When I got in this profession in 1973, racial discrimination, gender discrimination, all kinds of discrimination was a whole lot more pervasive in the hiring process than it is now. We've come a long way, probably not as far as we should. And now we have in the mix the issue of immigration and immigrants, which has been for the past number of years. So what I wanted to establish was the idea that if you're a minority, whether you're a racial minority or a gender minority or a immigrant minority, life is harder for you. That is just the way it is, and especially with getting a job. You're judged differently. It is harder, especially if you're a woman or a minority. You have to work harder than other people do. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been, and it's going to continue to be that way. Justifying it one way or the other doesn't do any good. That's just the way life is. And as my 5-year-old granddaughter told me a couple of weeks ago, when I said life isn't fair, I said something about it's not fair. She said, well, life isn't fair. I think her dad taught her that. You're right. Life isn't fair. It's not fair. It's just not. And it's never going to be fair. The point is that if you are a minority or a female or an immigrant or in any way different than lots of people, you have to work harder. You have to be better. You just have to. And especially females, they have to work harder than men. That's all there is to it. And complaining about it and trying to make it equitable by some kind of mythological regulation or whatever isn't going to work. You just have to accept it. Some of us have to work a lot harder than other people do to do anything. That's just the way life is. And get used to it, work on it, just accept it. If people don't want you for whatever reason, let them go. They don't deserve you. Just let them go. Find somebody else. It isn't fair, and you're right. It's not fair. It's never been fair. Life will never be fair. Now, you got to be careful. You don't want to overplay it either. We had a candidate. She's brilliant, really good and good at what she did and all of that. She's Black, and she kept saying in the interviewing process with a couple of our clients, well, you know, I'm Black. Well, it's obvious that she was Black. And one of these companies didn't consider her because they were concerned that she was going to play the race card when she got in there, which she had never done in the companies that she had worked for. She had a stellar track record, but she overdid it. I mean, it's obvious when you're a minority. So just realize that life isn't fair. It isn't going to be fair. You have to work harder. That's just the way it is. I had to work harder in graduate school because I wasn't anywhere near as smart as some of those other people that I worked with, that I was with. I had to study a lot harder, and it was harder for me. Uh, that's the way it's going to be. And don't complain about it, because it isn't going to do any good to complain. That's just the way things are in this world. And it's unfair. And you just have to work harder and push a little harder and be a little better. And in many ways, it's an advantage. I had a company last week that complained that, we looked around our organization. We do not have any women in the sales force. Please find us a qualified woman. It was not hard to do. So in some cases, it's an advantage. Just don't wear it on your sleeve, and realize that, yes, there are going to be some people that won't hire you because of whatever reason. Too short, too tall, too fat, too young, too old, whatever. Okay, fine. Find somebody that does want to hire you because they're out there. And it's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way. Yes, it's gotten easier, but it's still, look, all hiring is discriminatory. That's just the way it is. People get hired for all kinds of different reasons. Just be aware of it and think about it. And don't give it the time of day. Find people that want to hire you. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashara with the Job Search Solution.